Hi everyone, welcome to week 6, 1 week to go until half term. Right, your maths lesson today. To identify symmetry, reflect shapes across a mirror line and identify mirror lines. So this is actually a year 4 objective. We have decided to do this as a standalone lesson just to refresh your memory on symmetry from last year. So what is a line of symmetry? A line of symmetry divides a shape in half. One half is the reflection of the other half. The line of symmetry is the same as a mirror line. Some shapes have no lines of symmetry, while others have one or more. And there's 3 examples here for you. So you've got your triangle here with one line of symmetry. So you can see one line of symmetry has been identified. So this side here is an exact reflection of this side here. So if we were to put a mirror on this line here, you would see this shape here reflected in the mirror. And here we've got our rectangle, and this rectangle is showing 2 lines of symmetry. One here, so again, this side is a reflection of this side and vice versa. And then your horizontal line here, where if you were to fold this shape over or to look in a mirror line, you would see that this side were an exact reflection of this side. And then you've got your shape here, which is showing that actually it hasn't got any lines of symmetry. So there are some examples for you. Now I have put a note here, if you were to cut the shapes out, you could fold them along these lines, so these red lines that have been identified, and you will see that one side would match exactly onto the other. So you can have a go at doing that if you would like to. Now remember, a 2D shape is symmetrical if a line can be drawn through it and either side reflects the other. This is the line of symmetry. Now, the way that we would say this in maths is this is a line of symmetry because it splits the shape into 2 equal parts, which are mirror images. And you can see on my example here, you've got your line of symmetry down the middle, and then you've got your mirror images of each other. So it split the shape, into 2 equal parts, and you've got your mirror image. Right, now I'd like you to pause the video here and just click on this link to BBC Bite Size just to give you a little bit of information about lines of symmetry. So pause the video now. Okay, now just adding to what you saw there in the video about people being, we look for appealing things for the human eye, and the example was shown with the shapes and with people. So buildings can follow that rule as well. So lots of buildings use symmetry because it looks appealing to the human eye. So just have a look at these images here, and you can see how these buildings are all symmetrical. Now this one here has actually got the line of symmetry down the middle for you, but you can see the same applies for all of these other images. Right, now these are just some facts for you. So like I say, we're going back, just reminding you of some of the work from year 4, and this is what you would have been taught last year. So these are regular polygons, these are shapes that have equal sides, equal angles. The lines of symmetry in a regular polygon is always the same as the number of sides. So here are some examples for you. An equilateral triangle. You've got 3 equal sides and 3 equal angles. Funnily enough, you have got 3 lines of symmetry. And if you look here, the square is exactly the same. So you've got 4 equal sides, 4 equal angles, and 4 lines of symmetry. So it's exactly the same as the pentagon, hexagon, heptagon, octagon, and so on. So that's they're regular polygons. Let's have a look at irregular polygons now. So shapes with sides and angles of different sizes. Now it says here, and I've put it in bold for you, some irregular polygons can also have lines of symmetry. So let's have a look at this rectangle. So this rectangle has got 2 lines of symmetry. The isosceles triangle, the one that I showed you the example for earlier, 1 line of symmetry right down the middle there. A kite with 1 line of symmetry. And the trapezium, and this one's sort of more important really, this one is showing as 1 line of symmetry, but that's not the case all the time. Sometimes they don't have any lines of symmetry, so it's just worth bearing that in mind. Now circles, even though a circle isn't a polygon, it's still a 2D shape. And as long as the line of symmetry goes directly through the center of the circle, it has unlimited lines of symmetry. So although there are some examples here for you to see, you could have plenty more, look, so long as you went straight through the center, directly through the center of that circle. Right, it says, look at the lines of symmetry in the first two shapes. So here and here, how many do they have? So as you can see, this first shape here has got one line of symmetry. So you could either place your mirror across this line and you would see the shape reflected in the mirror, or you could fold your piece of paper in half and you would see it would fit exactly onto the other. So you've got one line of symmetry here. Now this shape here, you've got 1, 2, 3 lines of symmetry. So that's showing that, again, you could put your mirror on any of these lines and you would see the same shape reflected on the other side. You could also fold, if you were to cut this out, you could fold it onto each other, and again, you would see that it would fit exactly 3 ways. Now, what I'd like you to do now is to pause the video and identify the lines of symmetry in these final 3 shapes. So pause the video and see if you can identify how many lines of symmetry are in these last 3 shapes. Okay, now hopefully you were able to identify that they each have one line of symmetry. So here you've got your shape here with one line of symmetry going across like that. You've got one line of symmetry straight down the center here, and then another one going across like that. So I hope you were able to identify that they each had one line of symmetry. Now, again, an activity for you. So this is all part of your guided practice, but just to get you used to identifying the lines of symmetry, I'd like you to pause the video in a second and see if you can identify how many lines of symmetry you can find in these shapes. So you can either cut them out if you would like to, or you could draw on them if you would like to, or just see if you can see them yourself. So pause the video now and just have a bit of practice with these. Okay, hopefully you were secure identifying those lines of symmetry. And the same goes for patterns. So this task is asking you to complete the symmetrical patterns. So again, I'm going to ask you to pause the video and see if you can just draw the reflection on the other side where you can see that line of symmetry there. So what would be on the other side of that reflection? So pause the video now and have a go at drawing or completing these symmetrical patterns. Okay, so did you have strategy when you were drawing or completing these patterns? Did you start, when I say did you have a strategy, you may have just drawn the line from point to point. You may have marked your points first of all and then drawn them together afterwards. It says here, did you start closest to the mirror? So did you perhaps count 1, 2, 3 and then do exactly the same on the other side, starting from the mirror? 1, 2, 3, and then plot your point. It says, how could you check your answer? So what could you do? Now, did you think, or maybe you think that you could either cut round your shape and see if they would fit exactly onto each other, or you could use a mirror and see if the reflection is exactly the same. And one other thing it says, can you see other lines of symmetry in the shape? So if you'd like to, you can pause the video here and see if you can see any other lines of symmetry in the shapes that you have produced. Okay, so again, patterns in with symmetrical patterns. It says going back to the previous slide. So what is your strategy? So again, if you were to complete this this pattern here to make it symmetrical, what would your strategy be? Could you start closest to this mirror line here? I've lost my mouse, here we go. Start closest to this mirror line here and perhaps count how far you would need to continue with the first part of your shape. How can you check your answer? So again, that goes back to what we were saying previously. You could check it with a mirror line, or you could perhaps cut your shape out and see if it fits on each other. You could also count how many squares look, so you know that if you've got 1, 2.5, then you're going to need exactly the same on the other side. And then can you see another line of symmetry? So pause the video here and see if you can complete this symmetrical pattern. Right, I'm going to show you now how your image should look after you've completed. So as you can see here, that is the complete pattern. So you've got your mirror line down the middle, and then each image has been reflected onto each other. Going to do exactly the same now with this shape. So in a second, pause the video and see if you can reflect this shape here in your mirror line. So pause the video. Okay, now I'm just going to show you how you could do this. So it says, what is your strategy? Take one of the points, count how far this is from the mirror line and reflect it on the other side of the mirror line. So let's just look at that together. So if we take this point here and then reflect it up here, because look, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. The next point is here, look, so you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4. So my point will go here. And then finally, if we look at this one here, 1, 2 spaces to the mirror line, 1, 2 spaces the other side. So plot those and then you can join them together like so. And you can see that you've reflected the shape accurately in the mirror line. Right, so you're going to go and do your independent practice now, working through the sheets, and I've put the questions, working through the questions, which I've put on a separate piece of paper. I'm actually just going to show you and go through those questions with you just very, very briefly. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen with you for a second. The reason being is because I've now realised that before, when I have been assuming that I've shared a different screen with you, unless I come out of screens share and go into another one, you're still just looking at me talking and not actually seeing the point, the PowerPoint or the page that I want you to see. So I'm hoping now that you can see the questions for Monday's independent practice. And again, I'm just going to go through them with you very, very quickly so you know what you need to do. Right, now, you might think that there's quite a lot of work this lesson. If it's too much, please, 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 you've done quite a lot already in the guided practice. So just work through a few of the independent questions. However, if you would like more of a challenge and you feel like you've got more time, then you can obviously challenge yourself with the deeper thinking. So I'm just going to explain this to you really quickly now. So independent practice. The first question is asking you to sort these shapes here into this table. So you've got to look for shapes that have got up to 4 sides, more than 4 sides, and decide whether they've got one line of symmetry or more than one line of symmetry. And I've put a little note here saying, remember the facts about regular and irregular polygons and circles. So remember those facts because it might help you. Right, these questions here, it says a 2D shape is symmetrical if a line can be drawn through it and either side reflects the other. You need to see which shape has the correct line of symmetry marked. So look at the examples, which one is actually showing the correct line of symmetry. You can circle them on the page, that's probably the easiest thing for you to do. And then here, you need to match the halves that go together to make the symmetrical shapes. I don't think that needs any more explanation there. Question 4, you have to pair the lines of symmetry with the shapes that they match. So have a look, you've got these lines of symmetry here. Have a look at the shapes and see which line matches the correct shape. So you've got 2 examples of that there. And then very quickly, these are your deeper thinking questions. So these images are made up of several shapes. How many lines of symmetry does the image, not the individual shape, so the whole image, how many lines of symmetry does that image have? So you've got one image there and another image there. Question 3, how many symmetrical shapes can you make by colouring in a maximum of 6 squares? So you have to colour in a maximum of 6 squares, and at the end of it, if you had a mirror line, you could place your mirror line wherever you wanted to. You would need to see that it was symmetrical. So for example, you might want to colour in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It would be symmetrical because you could draw, have your mirror line or draw your line of symmetry down the middle there. You might want to do 1, 2, 3, and again you've got 1, 2, 3. So if you had your line of symmetry down the middle, you would see that it would still reflect. And then finally, one other question: how many different symmetrical shapes can you create using the given slides? So exactly the same, but how many shapes can you draw? So this is your line of symmetry here. How many shapes can you draw on here, this side, that would be reflected on that side? And that's it. Now, one extra thing you can do today, the answers are included so you can check to see whether you have got them correct. Okay, I hope that's nice and clear for you. Hopefully you've understood and remembered lines of symmetry, and I look forward to seeing some of your work. Okay, see you soon. Bye.